a ¿Qué onda? Con Eduardo Fernández, el programa más prendido de la radio, transmitiendo desde Atlanta, Georgia para todo el mundo. Síguenos en nuestras redes sociales y sé parte de la conversación. En Twitter como Rock Radio y más, y en Instagram y Facebook como Rock Radio and More. Llámanos 770-884-2104. ¿Ya bajaste nuestra aplicación? Busca nuestro app en las tiendas de Apple y Google Play y comunícate con nosotros. Adelante con un showzazo.
Buenas tardes, ¿qué tal? Todos ustedes que están sintonizando Rock Radio and More. Esto es ¿Qué onda? Yo soy Eduardo Fernández. Nos está escuchando gracias a Rock Radio and More, que estamos transmitiendo desde Atlanta, Georgia, a todo el mundo. Esta tarde, para iniciar el programa, tengo un invitado, una invitada muy padre. Estoy muy contento porque he estado leyendo su libro por los últimos 6 meses, porque ya casi no leo mucho. O sea, se me hace difícil leer, así sentarme a leer, pero hago lo posible. Traigo como 4 o 5 libros que leo vuelta. Voy a hacer esta entrevista en inglés para que estemos advertidos, pero voy a estar tratando de traducir lo que estoy platicando con Janet Green, porque está con madre. Lo que vamos a platicar son de las herramientas para, pues, revolucionar nuestras vidas, para crear nuevas realidades, porque es una de las cosas que más me apasiona en la vida. Es destruir este tipo de estigmas, ideas y cositas, ¿verdad? Que nos van guiando y que nos dicen es por aquí, por aquí, por aquí, para quitarnos esas mañas o esos malos hábitos. Es muy difícil y ahora se requiere, pues, de estudiar y de crear nuevos hábitos y nuevos ejercicios y demás. Bueno, le voy a dar ya la bienvenida a Janet. Janet Green, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Very happy having you here in my show today. It's a beautiful day in Atlanta. How is it in Las Vegas? You're in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, I'm in Las Vegas, and believe it or not, we have a cool front coming in for the first time this time of year. It's like 75 today.
75 today. I'm checking audio levels to make sure that can you say that again?
It's 75 today here in Las Vegas. Very unusual.
Okay, 75, which is for some, it's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, it's the coolest day. It was 96 yesterday.
we're about to. I mean, after Memorial Day, basically. Well, technically, summer comes on June, right? But after Memorial Day, you can feel it everywhere. Summer is everywhere. And the spirit of going out and all that. But do you like to be in that weather? 75, is that a good?
75 is great because it's going to be 115 probably in another week or so.
Yes, I know. I've been there. I've been in Las Vegas and you know, around this time, and it's hot. It's hot. Actually, last year in April, we visit Las Vegas for a special event, but we end up going to the Grand Canyon, and instead of staying there, we just got a van and we just hit the Grand Canyon. It was amazing experience.
Oh my God! Yeah,
much better than staying right there, the streets and, you know, casinos and all that.
Totally. I mean, living here, you don't. You know, right now with the COVID, you can drive down the street and you actually can see the landscaping for the first time. It's not piled with people. It's really cool, but it's not the big thing that we do when we live here, right?
Yes. Well, when I came to Atlanta with all these trees around, like 27 years ago, it was hard to believe there were houses behind the trees. You know, when the fall came, and I kind of like, oh my God, I kind of, I was able to see the houses and buildings behind the jungle. Is like, that's one of those phenomenal, those things that happen here in Atlanta. Well, anyway, you were saying something about rock music, something that happened yesterday before we enter into our topic of your book. What were you saying?
Yesterday, I decided to spend the entire afternoon just listening to the top 20 rock songs of 2020. And they were videos, but it was amazing. I was rocking out all the afternoon, and I was so happy.
So you say of 2020.
Yeah, and we're only partway in, right?
So, so what? May I know a few of those songs? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, there was one by U2, which was pretty new. There was a couple that were related to the COVID. The one that I really was having a lot of fun with, it's Pele Royale. It's called Little Bastards. It was really, I mean, I had to save it for today because it was so amazing.
Have you heard the song? Is it there? The song, Johnny Depp and
yes.
Jeff Beck did.
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah.
I'm so happy to
and
know.
I listened to that on, you had, like I just clicked on one of your links and I saw that one first.
Yes.
So it's really exciting. I mean, I've been, listening to rock music much earlier than you, maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. So when was that? When was that?
Maybe 68, 67,
Yeah.
68.
Well, then
And,
you beat me.
Yeah,
by a little bit.
Jefferson Airplane and.
Well, I was right there. I was right there with. I mean, I started like around 6-year-old. It was it was 1971, something like that. After the preschool, I would go and see this show. That they would, every day at noon they had all these bands. Jefferson Airplane, I still remember it. It was Jefferson Airplane, yeah,
right,
yeah. And
before
then
they were
Jefferson Starship, yeah. Then Starship. But then the first one was Jefferson Airplane, and then you'll see. The Jackson 5, Edgar Winter, Johnny Winter. Remember this lady, Mariska? She's got it. Oh, baby, she's got it. Remember?
Oh,
Venus.
yeah.
Venus. Is that?
Yes.
Yes. That. Well, yes. I had a crush on her, and I was only 6. And I was always like, just want to see her. And but there were so many very good bands, and we were close. Anyway, there's a lot of passion here in our station for rock music, and definitely for other things that help us have a better life, right? Because we want to enjoy music, but we want to be in good health and good conditions. Nowadays, you need to have all that to have the money to pay for the albums or the streamings or the concerts that right now, well, we're in some kind of a conflict there. But anyway, let's talk about your book. I believe it's a very simple and useful book. I've been in the books of The Science of Getting Rich, Napoleon Hill books, Walter Wallace. I have read so many books, right? The Secret and all those kind of books that talk about controlling your thoughts, your feelings, converting things, thoughts into things, and all those kind of things. But there's always this kind of gap or something to make things happen. Is your habits or those little things, exercises you should do that you talk about. But also sometimes there's certain things that don't make sense for me when I see all this exercise, read all these books. And one of the things that I really love about yours, I'm gonna say a few points and then I'm gonna let you talk, okay? And one of the things that really you got me when I starting the book, it's about this process of a lot of people is talking about you, like if you repeat this every 20, for 21 days, and then if you write down this, your brain doesn't know that you're lying or you're this. And I said that there's something there that I don't like it. So I like the way you put it in there about how the brain kind of realizes when you're just being stupid. Kind of. You'll say your words and it will shut you down. And I love that. And the other thing is that one of the other things that I really love is there's always a decision. Every moment, during the day, there's decisions. And if you don't take care of those decisions, it's like life will take care of you. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
becoming the effect and not the cause or something like that.
Right.
There's other things, but I'll talk about those other things and let you talk about your book. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want the people to get out of from?
Well, from the book and basically in life, I'm looking to empower people because we go through our lives thinking we have no choice or that it's our lot in life, or we find ourselves hitting these huge obstacles and we don't know, we get overwhelmed. We can't figure out how to solve a problem. So through doing this, it's a really simple meditation, but it's actually not the kind of meditation where you just forget, go be one with nature or whatever. You're actually actively contributing to what's going on inside of you until you get to that place where all the garbage and all the noise starts to slow down. And at that point, you can have your connection to your higher self, which has got all your answers. And by breathing, by being like bringing the body and the spirit into one little package, you actually can get a lot more done. So I've had a lot of people the last couple of days are just saying, I can't connect to my higher self. I can't connect to anything. And I feel like I'm just going through the motions. And I feel like, with the COVID, people are like, they're stuck in a place where they don't feel like they're really living their lives now, right? And it's not about being busy all the time. It's really about, can you be with yourself a little bit?
That's another point that I missed in my intro. Is that situation that really got starting the book is how can you be with yourself, and why we don't disengage of all these things that wants to keep us entertained instead of being with us. Like, hey, no reading, no this, no that. What about this? Let's fix it. That's one more thing. But the other thing is, if you can go to that moment in the process where the brain, the logical part of the brain says, kind of sees, the reality and. But anyway, keep going.
Well, you're being with yourself is a little bit hard in the beginning. I have several people taking my class right now, and they keep saying, I can't get this part. And it's like, just do it. It's kind of like driving a car, right? When you first start to drive, you don't know how to do all the things. You're like, I got to get the mirror right. I get this right. I got to do that right. And then after a couple of weeks, you're like, oh, and you're just driving and you're able to do all kinds of things. It takes time and a little bit of effort to get into that space. And then all of a sudden it starts to get easier.
Yes.
And the thing I think people are struggling with now is they've not had this much time to get to know themselves. And they're hitting the parts that they don't like.
But because quiero, de lo que está hablando Janet es de esa parte de cosa de eso que parece fácil, pero es bien difícil, es estar contigo mismo, estar realmente sintiéndote a ti mismo y conversando contigo mismo y pues peleándote contigo mismo y resolviendo cosas. Eso es bien difícil, parece fácil, pero también aparte ya de estar después de estar contigo mismo, creo que es bien importante, o ella también cree que es bien importante, es que ejercites muchos de estos ejercicios de los que va a hablar para que salgan fácil, o sea, que no sean un problema, no sea difícil, sino que sean como manejar un auto, que ya no te preocupas como te preocupabas el primer día que manejaste un auto, ya lo haces automático. Keep going, I'm sorry, I just wanted to brief in Spanish a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
just in case.
Yeah.
Some of our audience, Spanish speaking people, they understand English, but anyway, I just wanted to give it just overall in the conversation.
Yeah.
But okay, so basically, the first thing you can say is to practice or to put yourself in a situation where you are with yourself more often, and then practice all these exercises and these tools that you talk about
Right.
to
And the thing is,
involve, let's say it like that.
yeah, and the thing is, life is messy.
Mm-hmm.
And our job is not to just separate out from life. Our job is to get all mingled up in it. But every once in a while, you need to sort of separate yourself from everyone and everything you're doing so that you can remember who you are. And so it's nobody's fault, if you find that somebody that you've been talking to is hanging out with you in your space. It's just at a certain point, I've always used this example. If you are in a new love and you just spent the entire weekend with somebody you love, then you got to go to work on Monday. It's like you can't work Monday if you're still tangled up in all that weekend love, right? So you have to separate from that love in order to get the work done that week. And then when so it's kind of like you compartmentalize things, but at the same time, you need this every day. You need 5-10 minutes to just say, okay, I've had a great day or I've had a lousy day. It doesn't matter what kind of day, but I've just got to stop for a second and go, let me just slow down, find out who am I in all this.
So you're saying this expression that people is using now more and more and more. I don't know who made it popular, but this expression that people say decompress.
Yeah.
And I never in my life I've been someone that goes regularly to a bar. Lately I've been, because after so many years of being single, kind of makes sense every now and then. But then I realized that, like Cheers, the bar Cheers, the show.
Yeah.
Kind of now I justify that existence for people, because before I really have no clue why people, married people or someone, will go to the bar first than going home. But now it makes sense, because kind of decompress you, having a beer, see friends, and just to say bye to all this crap of work and just go home.
Right. Yeah. And then you go home and you're like much better.
I'm not promoting bars, but you can do something else. You can do, I don't know, go play the guitar somewhere, not in your house. If your kids are there and everybody, just get there completely brand new. Don't come straight to your house, probably. There needs to be some way, what you're talking about, there needs to be some way and some consciousness about, hey, I need to decompress, because sometimes when your partner comes, your girl, your lady, or your guy or whatever comes, then you just questioning and then people get, they just
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other way around too. I mean, when you go to work and you're still thinking of your issues with your wife or with your, and then your boss is like, rah, rah. There needs to be some.
Right?
That's a good. Yeah. Thanks for bringing
Yeah.
that up. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to sort of separate from one thing to do to the next thing, but sometimes we don't, and we end up being completely smothered all around us with all the things we've been doing, and it's like, okay, let me just move it all away,
Mm-hmm.
clear the screen, as they say, and see what's actually going on with me.
Yeah, I was gonna just say that this is. We're talking about. We're talking with Janet Green, and we're talking about her book. I was referred to you by another friend of yours. Used to help me a lot, and then she retired, and then I called you, and you talk about this book, and I said I want to buy it, and just to check it out, to get to know you better, and then I said, wow, very good, interesting things and small topics, very easy to digest, and very simple things. Let's see, talking about my talking points, can I jump into something that I believe is extremely important?
By all means.
Neutrality. I know how important is to be neutral. Se me hace que es lo más importante en nuestra salud, es mantenernos neutrales en todo. I love, because what I went to school for and all that, it's very easy for me to understand social science, politics, and all that. I like that, right? It's part of my schooling, but I never, when I was a young man, I never care about talking about politics, but I read so much, so I kind of have a clue, and I was always willing to talk. But lately, in the last few years, you get involved with people and said, oh my God, and I know how bad it is for me to get aside, to move from being neutral. How can you do it? How can you say, you know what? I'm going to be neutral, but I need to be responsible because there's so many things happening. You got to say something, right?
Right. Well, you can be passionate about things. There's people who go out in the world and they're knocking on doors, trying to get people to get excited. For instance, our election's coming up. There are people who are, really, like I saw something yesterday about 8 million trees, as one of the commercials before the video. And it's like, well, damn, we got to do that. So it's not like you're not engaged. It's just that, like, when you resist something, which neutrality generally indicates that you are not judging one way or the other, which is why you can kind of see things through the eyes of an observer, right? Instead of being charged with either one principle or the other principle, one side or the other side, you can see both sides. And then you can see, most people have very strong opinions about lots of different things. And you certainly don't want to get caught up in their drama.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you can just say, no, you know what, I'm just going to pop right here into the center of my head where the neutrality is, and I'm just going to watch it. It helps you to communicate better, because, if you were really in this resistance, well, they say what you resist persists, right? So it's almost like you're inviting that energy, which you're resisting, into you. And then you get excited, you start talking. This is how, arguments escalate, and you don't have a chance. But if you stay in that place of neutrality, and you might not catch yourself every time, there are certain people that trigger you. My husband would trigger me, I would trigger him, and it was like, okay, how can I be neutral? And it's like, okay. And the first time you catch yourself halfway through a sentence and go, oh, that's not what I wanted to say.
I'm already in the middle of a slump. Yeah.
Yeah. And it already escalated.
Yes.
And so the next time you might catch yourself after one word.
Tell me the consequences of not being neutral and keep arguing whether for soccer or politics and taking sides one thing or the other. This is wrong, this is right, this is judging and judging. Tell me more about what are the consequences?
Well, a lot of times what happens when you're in judgment is you end up getting caught with a lot of, let's say, dense, yucky energy around you. And it's really hard for you to know what you think because, well, you might think you might have your own judgments about one, soccer versus, baseball or something. You might have political views that can cause, but you can cause arguments. I mean, when you go to a family reunion or a holiday, there are certain subjects
Thanksgiving.
You do not bring them up because you know what's going to happen. But the consequence of having those judgments keeps you from seeing all possibilities.
But does it affect you physically? Does it have any consequences with your health? Because I see that it does. There's proven. There's proof. There's a.
When you're in that judgment, when you're in a state of, especially we have a lot of self-judgment, right? Whenever we do anything wrong, we're probably our harshest critic. And then there's those times where you're really mad at somebody else. But all that anger can just kind of keep inside of you. You can't move it out unless you find, and if you're in that emotion, it's really hard to find out where it is. When you get into your place of neutrality, you can say, oh, I'm holding that in my heart, or I'm holding that in my gut. And then you find out, like if you don't ever examine it, those are the places where you attract illness. So people with heart conditions, anger is supposed to affect the kidneys. So in the Black and Latino communities, in particular, the kidney disease is really high.
I have proven that. With tests myself, with lab tests. That makes sense a lot. You're saying basically, I mean, just not just talking. That's it is. No. There's a scientific evidence of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You say anger affects the liver, right?
Liver and the kidneys.
And the kidneys.
Kidneys is fear more too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good.
There's and the heart, of course.
So Democrats right now probably having some issues with kidneys. I'm just kidding. Okay.
Well, it could be. You never know.
I can tell.
But I was teaching a class once, and it's a healing class. I taught my students how to give a healing, and this one student came to me and he said, "Janet, I don't understand. I gave my dad a healing, and his channels and his chakras in the body, which are the energetic receptors, they're fine." I said, "Well, what about his aura?" So do you know what the aura is?
No.
So the aura is that energy field.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I know.
And now they can actually
see it.
They can film it. So science is catching up. But anyway, I said, "Well, what about his aura?" And he said, "Oh, it's like going through mud every single time." And I said, "That's because all the stuff that we do in our lives, we carry it around like a big Santa Claus bag, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as we live longer and longer. If we don't clear it out, it just gets more and more crowded." And his dad's aura was completely inundated with all kinds of childhood traumas and various other things. And he had cancer and he was diagnosed with 2 months to live. So it was like, that's where it all was. And when your aura is like that, it casts a shadow onto the body, and then the body can't handle it. It's not getting its radiant light. So basically his light was being shut down.
Yes.
And it's really amazing to think that the things that happen in your life, that they're going to affect your health. and
Yeah, it's your energy. And a lot of people now that we're finding out that, I mean, we're understanding, accepting, that's the word that I wanted to say, accepting that we're energy. And because we say, yeah, we're energy, but then, well, if we're energy, then focus in it, right? So do things that will help your energy, not just to be faster, but it needs to find a way to circulate better in your body, because it then is gonna end up creating issues. And
right.
but let me, before you move to something you said about the Santa Claus, right? And kind of put it as an analogy, but you said something so cool in your book, that I've been in one of those hypnosis therapies where you find a very good moment of you that you remember, and then you bring it into your present moment, and then you practice to be in that again, right? So you can be in that situation more often. Like, I remember when I was in that situation where I felt great, and I want to feel that way more often because I need it. So you could do that, and you bring that up, and kind of you jump in that suit, and then all of a sudden it works. It works if you do it in like a few days in a row. Then you end up in that mood that you remember. Okay, but there was something missing in that, and I did it right. But what I like is what you're saying is, even though it's a beautiful thing, let it go.
Right.
Let it go. The same way you want to let go bad things, you need to let go good things. Is that right? That's what I read. That's the okay. That's what I understood then. That's freaking. You rock my my life. When I read that, I said that makes sense completely. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. Well, if when I was teaching in the Chicago public schools, and the kids, they'd be like, well, I'd say, well, let go of your 5th birthday party. Oh no, I don't want to let go of that. It was really fun. And I would say,
it again.
Yeah. And I said, well, don't you want to have a great 10th birthday party? And then they go, oh yeah. And then they're just, down goes that 5th birthday party. I want a great 10th birthday party. And they're allowing themselves to have more great experiences. And so it doesn't matter if your energy is stuck in anything that you've done. Those are stories, right? We all have stories. Well, heaven forbid, we all have stories.
Yeah. We skeletons in the closet, or how would you say that? We all have those skeletons in the closet. You know what? For my friends that are out there and being patient with us, I just want to say that I will, in the second hour of our show, I'm going to kind of go over all these things. Voy a platicar de todo esto que hemos estado platicando en detalle en un momento más. Pero ¿qué les parece si... Would you be okay if I let a song roll?
Yeah.
And then so we have some...
Totally. I was wondering when you were going to have some music.
Yeah, well, there's a band that I actually interviewed yesterday. It's a very good band from Mexico. I interviewed the guitarist because they're doing different albums. One, they're doing 4 albums this year, 5 albums, but the first 4 is one for each member, like the songs that he has composed during the last 10 years. And then the other album will be the 10 songs or 8 songs of the other guy, and they're going to do. And then at the end of the year, they're going to release a new album with new songs, like a brand new song. So let me hit with this song. Is one of the songs they're going to release, the brand new songs. And it's so cool. El nombre es Loba, the wolf, I guess. Let's listen to this. This is Víctimas del Doctor Cerebro.
tempestad y su amor tan puro como el de un animal. Pero los humanos no iban a aceptar algo que alterara su orden natural. Bajo la luna llena, bajo la luna huya. Cuando la luna llama, luna macabra, luna maldita, libérala. Bajo la luna llena, bajo la luna llena. Cuando la luna llama, luna macabra, luna maldita, libérala.
Live and direct from Atlanta, Georgia, you're listening ¿Qué onda con Eduardo Fernandez on Rock, Radio, and More.
Ya vieron, ya escucharon como dijo el señor Carter. My friend Carter, le mando un saludote. Estás escuchando ¿Qué onda? Conmigo, Eduardo Fernández. Bien contento esta tarde de tener a Janet Green conmigo platicando de su libro Create a New Reality, crear una nueva realidad. To continue, we were talking about where were we? I was saying about
Letting go of energy, good and bad.
yeah, yes, the memories. Oh, great memory. Let it go. Let it go from the center of your brain or whatever. Question number 1 there. I'm more into Tai Chi. And then Tai Chi has been like for me very important in the last 7 years. And the teachings there are simply focus on your danja, right? You familiar with that?
Yeah.
And then so we don't put your attention on your head. We put it right here. Is that a good way to, if I want to relax, I just think of my danja. So is that okay?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not the place to locate. Well, it's a different thing because Tai Chi, it's basically a meditation in motion.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And there's over 72,000 channels in the body. And Tai Chi uses different channels than the meditation they teach.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a Tai Chi teacher as one of my clients and students. And in the beginning, it's like, well, in Tai Chi, you do it this way. And I'm like, it's not the same channels. You have so many channels. You know, you think about your meridians for acupuncture and all the other channels. But when you move your energy down into your lower dantian, you are changing your point of attention. And I think that really it is good to move your point of attention down because then you know where it is, right? I have people that say, I don't even know where my point of attention is. With Tai Chi, you're moving it down into this place. One of the reasons is because that's in your body. And a lot of people can't get in, you know,
Yes.
their spirit when your body's in pain, your spirit is like, I'm out of here.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. People keep friends that I trying to, like I don't trying to kind of, well, I want people to be as happy as possible. That's one of my kind of ways of living. I mean, I like to share what I think has helped me, right, to be better, to enjoy myself, and to one of my biggest challenge in this life for me is to fight against being worried. I'm always worried, and it was a comfort zone for me. For me, being worried is great. If I'm not worried, I'm nervous. I'm worried that I'm not worried. If I feel so much happiness in a day, I'm start getting worried. Like, no, that's not true. This must be something wrong. So I'm start getting nervous. There must be something coming. So that's one of my biggest challenges in my life. And I keep saying to my friends, don't think that your mind is in your head. Don't change that, because there's people that still think mind, brain is the same thing. Right. And that's where the whole problem is. I said, why cannot find this situation? Why the love of my life? Why my favorite job doesn't come to me? And I keep thinking, because you keep thinking. Don't think of it. Just your mind, you bring your mind here, you become a magnet the other way around, that repelling everything. So in your book, I like that exercise, but I just had that question if I can put that in here, because I have already worked so much in trying to put my mind right here. But
well, now you get to play. And that's really what it is. Life is about playing, right? We're playing, to find out what works for us. So when you're down in your lower dantian and you say, where am I feeling this emotion of worry? You might not be able to find it as easy, but if you play around up here in the center of your head, it's kind of hard to find sometimes, because sometimes people want to know what you know and they want to know what you see. So they join you there. But you get to there and you find it's a really peaceful place. And all of a sudden you look and you go, I'm feeling angry at something. It's like, well, where exactly is that anger? It helps you to find it because you're separate from it. When you're in your lower dantian, you can still, you're not in a neutral place, you're in a different...
well, how are you...
It is a light place because it's a little different than some, but it's not the same as having total neutrality. Because once you get into the body has all these emotions. So you're sort of stepping with Tai Chi, you are moving energy through your emotional body, and you may not be able to tap into exactly where it is. Like, where is that anger?
Where is it? Because when I was younger in another group, I used to... they say, where is it? And said, well, I don't know. Yeah, it's not anywhere in your body. If you're mad at that person, that anger is not there. Is just let it go. So don't bring it in. So I don't remember. That was a long time ago. I mean, I'm telling you, 35 years ago. And I learned that, and I said that doesn't. I don't know how. Just getting into that, but if I don't want to go back to that. But talking about when you said find that anger in your body, have you ever found any anger in your body somewhere in a place?
Yeah.
Oh.
And for me, it might show up across my shoulders and into my fists. I was teaching 7th graders about that, and there was a boy who had gotten sent to the principal, and he came back so angry, and I was like, let's get you in the center of your head. And he finally got there. He go, where is it? And his face looked like a huge U, and he's like, it was in his face, it was in his jaws. And I said, well, let's start to move it out. And it took him a while, but as he started to release a little and a little more and a little more, all of a sudden he was like, oh. Now, I think in the book I talked about create and destroy, and I believe we use bubbles. I had him put bubbles.
I did not understand that one, the bubble thing. I was,
Yeah.
But can you explain a little bit?
Well, yeah. So when you have an anger, you find out where it is. So it was in his face and his jaw, and he would just put a bubble in front of him, a soap bubble, like kids blow bubbles, right?
Yeah.
And he would say that bubble has a strong magnet and it's going to pull the anger out of his face. And so he threw it out there, and I said, just let it float out the window. And bubbles, they pop.
Yeah.
So it
Eventually.
took the anger out the window, popped, and he did 10 of them.
Yeah. You just say bye. Yeah. Well, then visualizing is key component.
Right.
In our future you, right?
Yeah.
How can you going back to the beginning of the book when you're talking about all these people trying to visualize things that are not there, that like, oh yeah, here is my bank statement and I have $200,000, and then and they keep lying to things. Tell me when that is not good for you.
So you're visualizing that you have. I'm not sure if I got that.
In recent years, with probably books like Secret and other books, The Law of Attraction and blah 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 blah, visualize, create your visual boards and things like that. That's fine, to say, hey, I want to have this car, I want to have this, and that, which is another topic to talk in another show. If you really need to visualize that car, that's gonna make you happy. But anyway, that's another thing. But also, it says something like your brain doesn't know when you're kidding or you're not kidding. So say this check that you got from Obama, from Trump, it's $120,000. Just add a zero. That's what they say in one of those movies that I saw. But I don't believe it. In your book, you're saying that your logical part of the brain,
it's going to shut you down.
It's going to shut it down if it said this guy is stupid. I mean,
yeah. There's way to a couple of other people that I think Mike Dooley might be one of them, who says you can ask and visualize what you want, like the end game. But the how to get there is like, you've got to be open to let the universe help you to, find those little steps that take you there. And so your unconscious mind doesn't know that it's not $120,000, but your conscious mind will be right there going, oh no, that's 1,200. Don't you lie to yourself. And the ego, that's the ego part, right? The I am part is bigger. But the ego is always trying to direct you where to go. So it's what I've said for years is sometimes you just have to say, ego, you need to sit in the back seat of the car and let spirit drive for a while, because spirit is going to open you up to possibilities. And your ego, and that's why I talk about asking open-ended questions like what will it take for me to do this? How can I be so that this will come to me? What could be? What are the endless possibilities? And so these are some of the things where you're asking a question instead of saying I have $120,000 check. You can say, what would it take to get a $120,000 check? Then your ego can't shut it down because it's a question.
It's a question. That's right. It's
and then your unconscious mind can go, how could I get $120,000? And it gives your unconscious mind a chance to come up with some ideas, which are then possibilities, which can help you to move towards that goal. And that's kind of a fun way to, I do a lot of questions. I have a question in the morning: how do I want to feel today? Because it is a choice, right?
Yes, yes. Well, and you've been going from all my points like this so easy. Well, but I don't want to. That's one of the things that I also have learned thanks to, and I want to give credit to Tai Chi. Helped me to survive, and that what I learned, it was what you talk a lot to is choose. Always choose. If you want to drink a soda or a soft drink that is not good for you, it's fine, but choose to drink it. Choose to get mad if you want to. If you want to do something that you will regret, okay, but make sure that you choose to say, you know what, I'm going to kick his butt, but I decided myself. It was not a reaction. So that's a very good thing. That's a beautiful thing to talk about that. What do you have to say? Well, why not? Just talk about that, what you're saying about choose. I mean, how important is that, and how can you practice to be aware of that, the choices?
Well, a lot of times you can use your body to help you. When I teach at Weight Watchers, I say, okay, you know, you all are trying to be conscious about what you eat, and sometimes your body wants something. So I have them all stand up, and I'll say, okay, imagine holding a strawberry in your hands, right? And I say, put it up to your heart and ask your body, would you like a strawberry? And you will feel, especially when you're new at it, you'll feel it right away, whether you start to fall back or you start to go towards it. If you start to go towards it, energetically, even if it's minuscule, you will say, oh, I want that. And I say, okay, now let's grab a white chocolate raspberry mousse. And we hold that up. And then it's like, try it again. Ask your body, do you want this? And if your body starts to fall back, you're like, oh, my body doesn't want it. so it's your pendulum. Your body becomes a pendulum for you. And so when I'm like, especially now with the COVID and we're all inside, it's like, it's so easy to just go and grab something to eat and just graze all day. It's like, I'll go up to the refrigerator or whatever, and I'll grab something and I'll say, does my mouth want this or does my body want it? And I'll just hold it up to my heart. And if I start to go back, I put it back. And that's giving a choice. But it's allowing your body to choose. So that's one way to choose. The other thing is, if you don't choose anything, life is going to choose for you, like you mentioned earlier. So, you know, it's like, then you're just the effect. And those are the people who will say, why doesn't this ever happen? Why don't I ever get the job I want? And there is, you know, a certain amount of things that you need to do for yourself. If you really want that job, then what do you need to do to prepare to get it, right?
That's right.
You may need to take a class. You may need to meet some people. There's skills that you might have to develop. So if you're really wanting something, you've got to choose what is going to make this work for me. And so, you know, sometimes things just come to you, and that's very true. But, you know, you've got to be in the place of receptivity in that case. And there are things, you can't just sit there. You can't sit on your couch for your entire life and hope that everything comes to you.
Mainly, that's one of the main problems, is that how do you call it? Some studies that I went a long time ago, sensuality. They were talking about sensuality. They said, and this, I'm not going to say the source, but anyway, it was pride, vanity, and sensuality are the biggest kind of enemies, right, of us, our spirit. And that sensuality, they were talking about more about doing things because you feel like it. Like, no, well, let's say that, you know, I have to get better at my shoulder because whatever, I need to do these exercises, but today I don't feel like it. And many decisions, we don't take them every day. We don't take responsibility because we're just damn lazy people. Even reading. I mean, now people don't read. I mean, we don't read. That's so hard to read. We want someone to tell us how to do it, and that's it. And but anyway, it's very important. You went through all those awesome things, shoes, and then you went back to this big concern of and that we have in life. We always find a friend, or our friend find us complaining about why is happening again to me and again, and it's like a life takes us, and we let things happen instead of making our own reality, created our life by just acting on things now, so tomorrow will be better, right? That's probably what you're trying to say.
Right. It's the only place you can create from is present time. So letting go of the past and the past mistakes, using that as information, like, oh, I didn't choose before, so now I really want to. And then saying for the future, it's like the future is going to be created by what you do today.
Yes. And do you believe in this? I learned also in a Tai Chi. I think I'm selling the Tai Chi more than you. I mean, I'm not selling anything. I'm just trying to talk. But do you believe in there's no destiny? I mean, you can change your destiny. Do you believe in you can change your destiny?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, when people used to come to me a long time ago, they'd say, well, can you tell me what I'm going to make in 3 years for my salary? And I'm like, no, I don't read the future. I only look at present time because if I say you're going to meet a guy in a bar in 3 days, that guy's going to walk right past you because you're so tuned into every single person. You've changed your future. So you can't read the future. The future is always unknown because you can kind of see a few things, get some glimmers, but unless you do everything the way you're looking at it right in this moment, it's no good. It's no good. It's really, when you look at something, you really want to look at what's going on right now. Like, why am I blocking myself from this job, right? What's in the way? It's like you're walking down a path and there's a big boulder in the middle of the path. It's like you got to figure out either one, you're going to try and drill through it, which most people are. Sometimes they're like that game where you just keep bumping into it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then there's those who, I'm just going to go around that rock, and then they get to where they want to go. So sometimes it's just a big boulder in the way, and you just got to say, yeah, I'm done with you. And it's probably some old energy, right?
How do you say? How do you say? Talk energy. How would you say that? I keep forgetting that word.
Telepathy?
No, the energy, when you have that kind of blockages, like blockages of energy in certain areas of your life. And when things are not happening, sometimes, let's say in your creative world that you said is in the left, right? And then, or if a job is not happening, or this business project is not working, or women, or the guy, or whatever is not happening, is energy, it's blockages, or there's certain things happening there, right? Or no?
Yeah, a lot of those are patterns that you learned when you were little. Sometimes you might bring them in with you, depending on what it is. But even, science is saying that if your father was in the war, 3 generations of PTSD before it moves out. So you might be experiencing PTSD that your dad had if he was fighting in a war.
Even though you were born already? No.
Well, if you were born already, no.
No, okay.
But if he had children after the war, then for sure.
Okay.
It's been shown to go down 3 generations. So you might be having some of that. And I mean, then there's, abandonment issues if your parents divorced, or maybe you had a perfectionist, because many of us are very big perfectionists. Then we have the OCD. So these are things that can kind of impact us. How you were in the pecking order of your, childhood. Were you the first, second, or third, or fourth, or fifth? And, how did that all go down? If it was a family of all boys, you were getting beat up every day by your older brother, stuff like that. These are all things that impact you on some level. And maybe for the job, for instance, you can't get it because you don't think you deserve it. Or, something happened where you couldn't get it when you were young, so you don't think you can get anything. So, I mean, it's all these little things. There are little things that are little stories that when you were too little to have intellect to kind of go, oh, well, that was, my mom spanked me because I ran out into the street and she didn't want me to get killed. Instead, you say, oh my gosh, I'm the worst child in the world. And then for the rest of your life, you feel that way.
Yes.
It's like, if you were 10 or 11, you would have said, oh, she just didn't want me to do that again because I could have got killed.
Yes. It's true. It's true. It's very important. I mean, we can go 3 hours on this. Oh my God. But every time you say something, there's 100 things I want to talk about. But there's one thing that I really, really want to emphasize, and that's the meaning that you put on things, right? That's what you said. And that's what I learned very early on those things that when I was a kid. It's Werner Erhard. I don't know if you heard about Werner Erhard in the 70s. Werner Erhard.
I don't remember that.
I need to say, because they're amazing. Now it's Landmark Forum.
Oh, okay. I know Landmark.
And they some people say, oh, that's like I don't know. I love them. They helped me when I was a kid. I went very young, and it was an amazing experience. And what I learned is about the meaning of things, right? Because for someone, there's certain people that if they say, hey, they come to me like this, I know he meant well.
Yeah.
If he comes and hits me, I know he loves me, But I know it's a meaning, right? It's a meaning. But there's a guy that might come and say, hey, and talks very lightly to you. But I know he's bugging me. And there's a meaning, but if I change the meanings, then I'm not affected by anything. So, or for me, the roller coaster creates such a mess. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna die or something. Then my body produces things that they're not healthy for me. But if it makes me laugh, it's the same thing. But the meaning that I have, that I have created for that activity, it's completely different, and it will have different effects, right? So the meaning is so important, and thanks for bringing that up too. Well, there's so many things to talk, but is there a main thing that you want to really kind of say about your book and creating a new reality for people?
Well, I think the biggest thing about what, my purpose, which is the book, and what I continue to do, is that I am really looking to help people find their truth and operate within that. And it's kind of interesting when you think about all the people who've told you how to do things and stuff, but ultimately it comes down to, if you were given the choice to do it your way, and you knew that it was the right way for you, that you would be able to follow it. And like you said earlier, you're only responsible for yourself. And if you think that life has dealt you a bad hand, then maybe it's time for you to take charge of that. So it's really about, being in touch, kind of being like truthfully who you are in congruence. It's like you take all the good, the bad, and the ugly, you take all the emotions, the intellect, and you say, how can I be the best me I can be? And ultimately, that's where you have your empowerment. That's where you get to really co-create and create your life. And heaven only knows we could use a lot more of that, right? There's so many people who are struggling. And if, I've taught many people who their lives changed, just like, in the 6-week class, it's like all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, my whole world's changed. Thank you,
Yes, I saw that very young in those places, the Werner Hart and those kind of. I saw in front of me people crying because they took the challenge to call their cousin or her mom because they haven't talked in 10 years because a stupid thing, and they just after that now they're very happy, and we all crying, and there was one after the other one after. I don't know why always my stories, my stuff always make everybody laugh, but many people make you cry like crazy. We were like all these stories just because, let me say this word, because bullshit, so much BS in our lives that are meaningless, and oh my, and it's so nice when you get rid of it. How can you help people, and where do they need to go to Las Vegas to your? Do you give them tokens and you take do you take him to a show also? I'm just kidding. Tell me more about your practice.
Mostly what I do, I teach teleclasses. I haven't taught any for a while since I just moved. I sort of put that on a hiatus, but I work with people individually. I offer readings. I do healings, energy healings. But my website is guidinginspiration.com. I'm on Facebook as well. It's facebook.com/guidinginspiration. Guiding Inspiration is my company.
What is it called?
And pardon me?
What is it called? Your web? I wanted to tag you yesterday, but
it's Guiding Inspiration.
Guiding Inspiration. Okay. I got it.
And I mean, it's really, my goal is to guide people to see what's right for them, right? I mean, empower them so that they don't need me. That's
what you want.
I want everybody to, and then just for their light to shine, so that their light shines, and then everybody sees their light shining, and then they go, wow, I could do that too. I could let my light shine. And then we're going to our humanity is just going to go up into vibrations that are way beyond what we have here right now.
What is your goal in life? I mean, when you say who we are, do you know who you are? Because remember that movie with Jack Nicholson that said, "Who are you?" Everybody, when someone asks you that question, is like, who am I?
Well, I can, And then the funny thing is, we're always in the state of becoming more. So I have a lot of gratitude for who I am, but I'm also, I still long to be able to help more people. I am looking to spread the infinite wisdom of the universe to create an upliftment. So my goal is to empower people and to spread it further and further and further. I really want to see, I particularly work with women, a lot of women, because they're the caregivers. They're the ones who have been giving.
But they have turned into monsters lately, right? Would you agree? They have changed so much.
I think that in order for women to be in a male patriarchy society, they had to emulate that. And of course, every time they do, it's like, well, if a woman asserts herself the way a man did, then she would be labeled as a very nasty person.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And so,
but it's not the fault of people like me that then it's like I just cannot believe a lot of people agrees with me that sometimes the nice guys pay for what the bad guys did to them. Is it true
Say that one more time. The nice guys what?
that sometimes the nice guys pay for what the bad guys do?
Oh yeah, and that's because there's a lot of
You cannot say there's
As-
a lot of karma there because the nice guys pay for what the bad guys did.
I think that it sort of depends a little bit there, but as far as, yeah, it could be karma, but the other part is there's a lot, like you said earlier, people don't read anymore. They want to be told. What they're being told is not really the truth.
And they were
So they
listening.
buy into it.
Yeah, and they listen. We listen so much the advice of others, and do you think that's a mistake?
I think you need to be discerning. You need to look at who the source is.
Yeah.
For sure. And once you decide whether that source is reputable, then that might be good. It might be good to listen to. I mean,
But anyway,
it's good to,
that's good.
good to listen. Yeah, good to listen to somebody like the Dalai Lama.
Yes. Well, I know. It's. We went over more than 20 minutes. Can you have guide and inspiration is the way to contact you. But if you want to, just give me your information after this broadcast, and I'll put it on our post. And it was a pleasure having you. Is there anything you want to add, Janet?
Well, I want to thank you for having me.
No, thank you
And,
for helping us understanding many
It was
things.
really fun. It was really fun. I think the more people we can help to release some of the pressures that we're experiencing in life, the better. Really. And I'm happy to work with, I work with schools, people, adults. And I mean, I just find everything that we do is, moving us towards something greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
And ultimately that's, I think it's important.
How many years of experience do you have?
I've been teaching for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started learning this probably another 5 years prior, maybe 10 years prior.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So,
pretty
and
much.
I've been
It's very good.
certified,
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
that's very good. Thank you so much for being with me.
You bet.
What is your favorite song? I might not be able to put it on Facebook, but I want to do it on the streaming. What is your favorite song?
I think it might be Love is the Drug.
Love is a Drug. Yes, I think
Love
I
is
have
the
it.
Drug by
Roxy
Roxy.
Music, right? It's Roxy Music,
Yeah.
1974, if I'm not 75.
Yeah.
I remember I bought that single. Remember the little 45? I bought that one in J.C. Penney. And
Oh my gosh.
yes, brand new. They were. I was going down the steps on the escalator, and I hear that guitar, and what was the name of
Yeah.
one of the members? What's his last name? That is so.
Brian Ferry.
No, I think that's the one. Brian.
Brian Ferry is the vocalist.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the Phil Manzanera.
Brian Ferry is probably the one I wanted to remember because he did something after by himself, right?
Oh yeah, he's got like 45 albums.
Wow! So you know.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
next time I'll have you on my show to talk about music. How about that?
Yeah, that would be fun too.
I'm gonna let my friends in streaming listen Roxy Music, Love is a Drug, and then we'll just wrap it up here on Facebook Live. Thank you so much. Gracias por escucharnos. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was really fun.
I'm gonna Thank you. Stay there, okay?
Okay.